Even now in other countries in Africa, strong, mature Christian pastors are intimidated by those who practice black magic and the traditional medicine because they have curses and people die. Yes. It is a spiritual reality.
But yes, there was one pastor that died that worked with me.
But it was, I thought what was encouraging was some ambassador wives supported you and got the word out. Isn't that also what happened as well?
Yes.
Women together with a voice, right?
Yes, they heard about it and they called me and raised funds to help me set up a vocational school. And they came to the area. We went to the shrines. They wanted to see that the problem was real. And they were very courageous because it was a very political problem.
Mm-hmm.
It was
and
very
how
political.
entrenched is this in society there?
Well, now all the system came down. There's nothing left.
There are no more shrines.
There's shrines, but there's a difference. There's shrines all over Africa, but this particular system, the Lord intervened and brought it down.
So
all the priests have died.
Are gone.
But you said the last one came to Christ.
The last one, there was one shrine that the priest refused to abide by the law. A law was passed to abolish the practice. And just this past few months ago, he had a stroke and he was dying. He called for a pastor.
Wow.
Accepted the Lord, and he's going to church from what I understand.
But what I need to hear from you, Sharon, is that I sit here and I'm trembling, thinking, I don't know if I could face going into this dark place, having my life endangered. As you sort of walk through the fear and face the fear, how did you? It is God, but how did you deal with it, work through that, and in those homes where you live with bats and squirrels by yourself? I mean, even that, I'm like, I don't know if I could do that.
Well, the Lord actually had put that in me. I had to go through a lot of hard things to overcome fear. I couldn't go there with fear because they manipulate the people with fear through this system. I had to be not afraid, or you couldn't walk in it. And I resigned myself to the fact that the Lord knows my time. If I'm to die, I'm going to die, and that's it. I accepted it. And in Revelation it says they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. And that was the scripture I had to walk by and believe that if the Lord called me, he'll protect me until the work is done.
Now you were alone in this. As you say, the people were fearful. They knew the power, the evil power that was wielded by these priests. And you say that the one pastor who finally stepped up to the plate was dead in, what, 2 months?
Yes.
Now, did that rattle things a little?
Well, it shook me, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I at first was angry with God. I said, Lord, why did you allow this to happen? Because it just reinforces the fear. Right. But it rallied the whole denomination to fast and pray to help bring down the system. So he went to a Baptist church. The whole Baptist convention from Ghana and even other places overseas joined hands and began to fast and pray concerning the system. So that was the army that was rallied through this death. You know, what the enemy purposes for evil, God turned it around for good.
Now, before you got there, how, I guess, widely known was this? Because this was going on in the Volta region. And I know that, you know, I was telling Moira earlier today that I had no idea that things like this were going on. And even some of the people I've talked to from Ghana, you know, weren't aware of that things like this were going on. Because, I mean, Ghana is 70% almost, 70% a Christian nation, really, with the majority being Pentecostal or charismatic Christians. So before you got there, I mean, was there anything at all being done? Was the government even aware that this was still going on? I mean, what was the process
People
like?
were afraid. They wouldn't touch it. It had to be really an outsider.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't affected by that spirit of death. But people were, you know, and I saw it happen. I didn't believe it at first. And the first meeting we had with the district assembly, I had to tell them what I was there for. And this man stood up and he said, well, who's going to be responsible for the deaths? Meaning anybody who ever tried to help
Get near this, there's going to be fallen.
would die. And I didn't believe it. But then the longer I was there, I realized it was true, especially when the pastor died. And he came to me and said he had a dream that the fetish priests were pointing a gun at him and they said, you're dead.
Wow.
And so he told me, and I said, well, we just have to step up our prayers, you know, and we had to fast and pray. And I didn't take it serious. But then he came to me a bit later. He told me he heard that the fetish priests all had come together and they offered a sacrifice to kill us. Him and myself and the district assembly, or the district chief executive who asked me to go into the shrines. And I wasn't afraid because I felt, if the Lord brought me to do something, I can't do it if I'm dead. But 2 weeks later, he was dead. And I was I was shocked at the whole thing. And then the district chief executive came to me and said also that he had a dream and he was facing a spirit of death. And I said, Lord, I can't do this alone. If he goes, what am I going to do? But shortly after that, he brought a group of intercessors around me from the local people. There was 4 women and a lay pastor. He was the only one that spoke English. And then we began to meet regularly for fasting and prayer to come against the stronghold.
And how long did that go on for?
7 years.
We
7 years.
We have the victory picture. Let's bring that up now.
That's amazing.
That is Sharon in the white with the victory flag on the left, the picture. This is a victory march.
Yes, this was when the law was passed to abolish the practice, and that took 10 years.
10 years of your life.
I think that's key too, is that it took so long. I think, sometimes when God sends you out to do something, you're kind of like, okay, I'm here, I'm ready, let's go, let's do this. But it takes time.
Yes, it does.
And a lot of things happen, and there's a lot of discouragement along the way, like people dying and
Yes.
all of the threats and the things that you faced in this call. So what kept you committed to saying, okay, no, God, you didn't make a mistake calling me here, that you really do have something?
Can I ask you to bring a little other slice from your past here? Because you stared the potential of death in the face many years earlier when the police said that they couldn't protect you. And you made a choice very early to trust God as your defender.
Yes. I went through a very difficult divorce, and my husband was stalking me. And the police were trying to protect me, but at one point they said that we don't have funds to be able to support, a policeman always watching you. And that's when I was in fear, and I had to overcome it because you can't live like that. I was sick all the time, and that's when I resigned myself to the Lord, and I said, Lord, you're a big God, you can protect me. Surely, you can protect me. And if you can't, then I should die. And the police actually wanted me to carry a gun. And like I didn't feel that was right as a Christian. And I said, no. I said, I'll trust the Lord.
You trusted the Lord too in a work situation where you saw injustice.